Hi, I'm Sam Nelson from X Ambassadors, and you're listening to Main Pod Girl.
Hey, welcome to Main Pod Girl, a podcast made by Popheads for Popheads. Every episode, we'll be diving into all kinds of pop culture topics with some of our favorite artists and music commentators. I'm your host, AJ Marks. Today's special guest is a lead singer of X Ambassadors with billions of streams to his name. He's collaborated with everyone from Lil Wayne to Eminem to Zedd, played Paul Stanley in the biopic Spinning Gold, and has written for SZA, The Weeknd, Rihanna, Lizzo, Maren Morris, Chloe and Halle, just to name a few. This year, he released his debut solo album, Why Does Everything Make Me Cry, and just recently came out with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom theme, Deep End. Please welcome Sam Nelson.
Wow, what a weird list of accolades. It's just straight. It's like funny to hear people just like run through it because I'm always like, man, it's just like nothing is ever how you expect it, right? Nothing is ever how you expect it to be, but it's been a good ride so far.
I love to hear that. You have a good body of work to back it up. So let's start off with what you're listening to.
Oh, what have I been listening to? Honestly, it's the holidays, so I'm listening to a lot of Christmas music right now.
Totally fair.
I don't think there's a Jewish person on earth who loves Christmas more than I do. I don't think that there's anyone.
Richard Marx.
Ah,
who wrote all the Christmas songs.
I mean, yeah, I'll give that one to him. So yeah, I got my Christmas classics playlist on Spotify, Cozy Christmas Jazz. I've got this, I'm listening to the new Chris Stapleton record. I really like it.
Nice.
It's great. There's this artist named Steven Wilson Jr., who is a newish artist. He's been around for a minute, but he just put out his debut record with Big Loud. And he's, I guess you'd say, like country Americana.
That's my jam.
He's so great. He's got such a great voice. He sounds like Chris Cornell. It's really wild.
Oh, wow.
And the songwriting is amazing. Ooh, I just got my 2023 Wrapped. Do you want to hear what my Wrapped is?
Absolutely. An exclusive on the Wrapped. Oh, yeah, that came out today.
My top songs. Oh, I listened to this song called Russell County Line by a band called 49 Winchester. You Should Probably Leave, Chris Stapleton. Where Rainbows Never Die, Steel Drivers. God, I really love Chris Stapleton. This artist, Sid Sriram. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he has a song called Do the Dance that he did with Justin Vernon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of country music this year. Let me tell you. I got Megan Maroney on here. Got a little Bailey Zimmerman, a little bit of Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers.
This was the year of country, really. Well, I was going to say, if you really like Christmas music, what I'm listening to right now is Fruitcake, the EP by Sabrina Carpenter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of it's like very unserious, and then some of it's really sweet. I honestly want to say it's a mix between, it's like if Ariana Grande and Casey Musgraves made a Christmas EP.
Wow.
Which they've both made Christmas music before, so.
Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely going to listen to that then. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it's like some of the runs are like Ariana, some of the songwriting is like Casey.
Yeah, Sabrina's really got a voice like that, right? She really does.
Yeah, she can tread the line pretty well, but it sounds uniquely her, right? Like I think everything, it's so funny that Emails I Can't Send was her fifth album because it feels like her first. Like it just really felt like she just like turned the page and started a new chapter entirely.
I love hearing that about artists, you know, like I feel like it's so hard for us to all kind of shake the first thing that makes us, that kind of puts us on the map in our own minds and then in the minds of everyone else. So whenever you hear about an artist who's like on their fifth record, they come out with something that feels like defining to them. That's really exciting to me because I think a lot of us get better as we get older and the world doesn't think of it. Especially in the music world, the perception is always like you get older, you put more music out, it gets worse. Like everyone likes the early stuff. Everyone likes the first records when it's like fresh and raw. And like, I think there's still something raw and vulnerable about my songwriting, you know, now being in this game for 10 plus years. And I think I'm only getting better as a songwriter.
Yeah. I mean, because we're on like I mean, I don't know if you count the Hannah Montana records, but like we're on like Miley's either seventh or 10th album or something like that. And
Wow.
it's been the year of Miley this year. So
Yeah.
it is really wild. I mean, I think that fans do think that like her last album, Plastic Hearts, was kind of her magnum opus. But like in terms of like critical and commercial success, this has been her absolute peak, which is just
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
That's so cool. That's so cool to me. Gives us all hope, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, gives me hope for anyone, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't even need to be like, going to the top of the charts, but just more just
Yeah.
like having that like creatively fulfilled moment where you're just like, yeah, this is it. This is the
Yeah.
album. This is the moment. And I was talking just to Slater, who is on her second album, and it's like she had a mixtape before that that was basically an album. So it's kind of her third album, but a lot of people are like, oh, is this her first album? Like
Mm.
a lot of people
Yeah.
are rewriting history to be like, no, this is the debut. This is like you fully came to the moment where
Yeah.
your career is like starting, And
Yeah.
I love to see that.
So cool.
All right, so let's start with the most recent release, the Aquaman theme.
Yeah.
Did you get to see the film before writing it, or were you just given like a concept?
A bit of both. So we heard that they were looking for songs, and we got a brief from the music supervisor on it. And I basically threw out everything that they said in the brief and did something that I think was going to work as an end title sequence. The one thing I did take was there's a theme of brotherhood in the film between Jason Momoa's character and his brother. And that bond is something that I share. My brother's in my band, and we're very close and have been through a lot together. So I wanted to write a song with that at the heart of it. And yeah, it's funny. The references were like stomp, clappy, 4/4, like very much like a song of ours called Jungle that came out in 2014. It was like a
Yeah.
big kind of like very like masculine. I just didn't want to do anything like that. And I was like, I think this is so boring. And instead, I was like, what if we did like a 3/4, like a waltz, but like a powerful waltz that felt like a Live and Let Die or like a James Bond kind of theme. And that's what myself and our producer Tyler chased after the first day when we made the demo. And then sent it. This is so funny. This is such a typical story. Sent it in, and the music supervisor was like, okay, so I'll put it on the playlist that we're going to send to the director. But to be honest, I think that maybe it's like a little too sexy. I don't know if it really works, but I'll put it in there. And I was like, this is what I'm going to give you. So, and it turned out to be the one that the director liked the most. And then they brought us in to watch a very, very rough cut of the film. I think it's totally different now than what we saw. Also, what we saw had no visual effects in it, like none.
So you haven't seen the final product?
No. And to watch a movie like that with no visual effects is crazy. It's crazy. You just get to see really this sounds condescending, but it's not. I swear it's not. You really get to see how hard these actors are working and how good they are playing pretend. And you get to see the ones who are like clearly film actors and the ones who are film actors who have a background in theater. You really get to see the difference between those. The ones who have a background in theater, like really, I mean, they draw you in just with like dots on their faces and like talking to a tennis ball.
Because they got to project their expressions.
Yeah, I mean, there's one actor in particular, Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson is incredible. But anyway, so yeah, then we saw the movie. They wanted us to tweak a couple different lyrics and stuff, made it more aquatic, I mean, this movie has taken so long to come together. We started writing this, I think, in like early 2022.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost been like 2 years.
It seems like quietly being everywhere is kind of your thing, like whether it's playing in commercials or writing for other artists or soundtracking things like Game of Thrones, Suicide Squad, Blade Runner, Transformers. Your songwriter brain seems to be very well equipped to not only like digging deep and getting personal with your own stuff, but also writing to pitch and bringing out the emotions of characters or other artists. I'm assuming by tapping into your own emotions there too.
Yeah.
Is that balance of like personal versus projection intentional to keep you on your toes as a songwriter?
Yeah, I mean, grew up listening to just everything. I listened to so much, I consumed so much, I mimicked so much. That was my
Mhm.
thing. Like before I was in music, I was an actor and still am, and a lot of that was mimicry. And I kind of brought that into my songwriting, and I learned how to mimic some of my favorite artists and make stuff that kind of sounded roughly like what they were doing. So I think that kind of became a strength of mine. And then, yeah, like I think that the key with these sync songs, and I think if you're writing anything for sync or for pitch, I think there's a negative connotation with these things as a songwriter where you're like, oh, it's just they're going to want something that's just like so hollow and empty and means nothing. And if it's a song for an end credits of a superhero film, they want it to be a song like Unstoppable, I am unstoppable,
Yeah.
something just so dumb. And I think people are always smarter than you think they are.
Mhm.
And B, like the stuff that just always will win. When I say win, I mean like emotionally. Like if you're writing a song for pitch and you're just like, I just want to write a bullshit song today, and you write a bullshit song, if it gets in the film, great. It feels like okay, because then you get some money and like you have a song in a film. That's kind of cool, but you're not really proud of the work.
Yeah.
Um, and if it doesn't get in, then you're like, well, I just wasted a day writing a shitty fucking song. But if you take the day to write something that actually you say like, okay, so this movie's like it's about a guy who can speak to fish and he's like in the water and it's superheroes and I don't like superheroes at all. And how can I tap into this? And then one of the themes that you're given is family.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own complex, nuanced relationship with their family. Maybe you don't even have siblings, but the theme is about brotherhood. If you wrote a song about the brother you never had, and maybe it doesn't make its way into the film, it's still a song that means something to you. So that's a win. So you can take that. Maybe you decide to put it out yourself.
Yeah. And I always like when you can look at previous songs you've written and just be like, okay, this melody works. I'm going to put this into a song
Yeah.
I want to do. Or this
Yeah.
concept works. I'm going to reuse some of the lyrics here. Or, just like kind of pick it apart. Be like, this chorus is
Yeah.
great. Let's
Oh
revamp it.
man.
Let's
Yeah.
rewrite it.
Yeah, I can do that all day.
I absolutely love your contributions to Lizzo's debut album, talking about
Thank you.
collaborations.
Thank
The
you.
song Jerome even won a Grammy for her performance in it.
Yeah, yeah, man.
It seems like such a left field collaboration on paper, but you kind of have this affinity for pop and R&B and hip hop. I mean, even just like look at the collaborations you've
Yeah.
done with X Ambassadors. The three songs you worked on for that album are so different stylistically.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious if there are any other styles you really want to tap into for the future that may surprise people.
Well, I really, again, I mean, you just saw, I've been listening to so much country music. We just
Mhm.
put a song out with a country artist called Breland
Yeah.
with my band, X Ambassadors. That was really kind of our first kind of foray into it. But I've been writing with a bunch of other country artists who I love. Hopefully, some of those songs will be coming out. So that's a space that I really love. I mean, those songwriters I respect so much. I mean, I put a lot of these country top liners at like the top. I should say country Americana
Yeah.
songwriters. The pop country songwriting is razor sharp, razor sharp. And I mean, yeah, you're recycling a lot of the same themes over and over again, but you're doing the same. That's the same with pop music.
Yeah. The incredible element of the country genre is like being able to say something that someone said a million different ways because we all feel it all the time, but being able to say it in a way that's just new enough where it really piques your interest.
Yeah.
That is like, you think of some of the greatest pop songs of all time, like Teenage Dream comes to mind, and it's just about wanting to feel youthful again. It's like that
Yeah.
could be a million different songs, but something
Yeah.
about the way that was specifically written hit hard. And that's the
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. And country is so fascinating as a genre right now because we have this weird period of time where everyone kind of wants to get into country from other genres, and everyone from country wants to welcome in people who aren't working in country currently
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like different perspectives, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like I was just talking to Colby Calais about going into country music and like, you know, how kind of how she grew up and what she listens to does not match that at all. But that's what makes her country music so unique and it has
Yeah.
its own flavor.
It's such an interesting genre, and I also really love how it's becoming a lot more diverse. It's becoming a
Mhm.
lot more inclusive. It historically has not been. Look, it's still baby steps right now, but it's a space that I, along with so many other of my peers, am fascinated by, and not just fascinated by, like totally enamored by. I also have been, like a huge Americana guy for a very long time. Laurie McKenna and Patty Griffin.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Living with Ghosts, literally one of my favorite albums of all time.
you know who told me about Patty Griffin? Justin Tranter.
Oh my God. I need to get Justin on the show. I
They're
love them.
so special. So they showed me her music like in 2017.
That's so wild. That's the same year that I got into Patty Griffin. That's actually bizarre.
You know that record, A Thousand Kisses?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the record for me. There's a song called Nobody's Crying that I think I'm gonna do a cover of and put on my next solo record, because I that song is like rips my heart out, puts it back together again, puts it back in my chest, sews it up, and then rips it fucking out again. It's so good. It's so
Hell
good.
yeah. You know, I got into Patty. I can't remember. Oh, it was Allison Porter did a
Mm.
cover of Let Him Fly on The Voice. And I remember I was home visiting my parents and I heard my mom watches The Voice. So I heard that on and I was like, wait, hold on, turn that up. That's really fucking good. And I
Oh,
was like, oh my God. Yeah, no, then I listened to that cover for like a year and then I was like, okay, I need to find the original artist. Found out she's one of the most
yeah.
covered artists in history.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I was like, huh?
That doesn't surprise me at all, because she's such a good songwriter. Also,
Yeah.
speaking of covers, her cover of Stolen Car, the Springsteen song,
Hmm.
I think she does it even better than he did it. And I'm a huge Springsteen guy. I'm a huge Springsteen guy. I think that her version is far more haunting even than his.
So going back to your writing, I just wanted to tap on Power is Power. That's another favorite song of mine from your discography,
Thank
your
you.
extended discography. It was part of that string of like SZA pop songs that came out after Control, where and she's so damn good at making pop
She's so
songs.
good. She's so good.
I
Yeah.
heard she's like a force of nature in the studio. Like, did you get to witness that firsthand? Like, was she freestyling in front of you?
No, it's really funny. A lot of with the exception of Lizzo,
Mhm.
most of the biggest kind of collabs I've done have been like I've written something and then it gets
Yeah.
cut.
Did she cut it exactly how you wrote it? Or
No, she wrote her own verse. She
I was
wrote
gonna
her
say,
own verse. Yeah. I worked on a version of the chorus that then got judged by The Weeknd, by Abel. Ricky Reed produced the song. So he kind of like brought me in initially, was like, I have this idea. He had a track kind of built out, and then I wrote this hook over the track. Abel came in, kind of took what I did on the hook and like did his thing with it. And then Travis Scott came in and put a verse on it, and SZA came in and put a verse on it.
as they do.
Yeah. I mean,
Casual. Oh, I was gonna say also Ricky Reed, one of my favorite actually my favorite producer of all time.
I love Ricky. He's such a hard worker, and he did our second record, the band's second record, Orion. We worked on that together. We were working on that, the Lizzo record together, and the Game of Thrones soundtrack together, all in the same like year and a half.
I was gonna say that was my like biggest introduction to you was through his discography because I keep up on his production credits all the time.
Yeah, the record that we did together, I was so proud of. That was such a tough moment, because it had been 4 years since our first record came out, and we had gone through so much. We had split with our main collaborator from that first record, Alex the Kid, with a founding member of the band. We had gone our separate ways with him, and that was really painful. And he was my best friend since we were 5 years old. And so I was going through all this stuff, and then at the same time trying to write like a follow-up record to a successful first record. It's just that's a daunting task. in and of itself. And then, yeah, we found Ricky, and it was like finally kind of I had my North Star there, someone whose taste I really trusted. And he found out about us because we had produced those songs for Lizzo. And he was like,
Mhm.
who are these guys? Like, I know they're a band, they have these
Yeah.
songs, but like they're working on these tracks with her. And
Because he does the other half of the Lizzo
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, he's done most of it. We just got lucky in that first, on that first record. And she was kind of trying to figure out what her sound was going to be. And we happened to have the session together because I had heard her EP and I was a huge fan of her. And we got in together, her and me and the rest of my band. And we wrote those songs. We wrote Jerome on the first day, and then Cause I Love You and Heaven Help Me on the second day. And we wrote a couple others on the third day. And she was just like, I think I found my sound through these guys. And Ricky and Ricky had been cracking away at it. And so he was like, hold up, who are these guys? Who is this guy?
You kind of sneak up on people through all these extracurricular activities you do. But then also it's like, so Renegades that was a brief that was like originally like a pitch for Jeep.
I'll tell you the story behind that song. That song at the time, so I was working very closely with Alex the Kid. He was sending me beats and I would write hooks over them, and we were just constantly sending music back and forth. And we were at that point struggling to like, we had a new EP come out that had Unsteady on it, which the label at the time was like, we don't really hear a hit on this. I'm sorry, we're not going to take anything to radio. And I was like, oh, okay, back to the drawing board. And we're just like struggling to try and find our like way to break through. So again, I'm sending him songs all the time. He sometimes would send me like title ideas and be like, I really want you to write like that song, Bad Husband, that I did on the Eminem record. That was like a title that he threw at me. He was like, can you write a song like called Bad Husband? And I wrote a song called Bad Husband. This was one where he was like, I had a song called Renegade or Renegades, something with that word in it. Why don't you try fucking around with a couple different ideas? And he sent me some beats. And the one that really landed for him and for both of us was over this kind of folky beat that he sent me. And it was a very simple hook. And then he was like, cool, this is good. Maybe write some verses for it. I might have like a big Jeep commercial spot that this song could work for. And I was like, oh, okay, sick, great. So I start writing the verses and I write some verses and I send it to him. He's like, great, this is sick. I'm gonna roll with this. I'll show it to the Jeep people. And then he shows it to the people at Jeep and they love it. And out of curiosity, I'm like, I wonder what car it's going to be for. Like they've got like the Cherokee and like a Liberty.
I had the Patriot.
I wonder what one is. So I go onto the Jeep website and the first thing that pops up is the Jeep Renegade. And I was like, fuck. Oh no, I just wrote a jingle. I just wrote a fucking jingle. But man, that jingle changed my life. So,
yeah.
It was one of those things, man, where you can't knock anything. Mm-hmm. What I found kind of accidentally with the song was like, at the time we were just really like vagabonds. Like we were still touring out of this van that was always falling apart and like barely getting by and had been for so long as a band, not a part of any scene, barely getting by, but somehow still doing it and doing it our own way. And the fact that, my brother is blind and having a member of your band with a disability is like, it just kind of changes the way you operate. We always operated differently than other bands. We were much closer. We really kind of had this deep sense of camaraderie. And I put all that into that song that was a jingle for a Jeep campaign. But like really that song changed my life. And him doing that, him kind of like tricking me into doing that changed my life.
It was crowned the 44th biggest hit in the history of alternative radio.
Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy.
I don't know if you already knew that, but
I did not know that. I did not know that.
According to Billboard as of like 3 months ago. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, now I got to move up 44 slots with my next jingle.
Yeah. I think also the timing of X Ambassador's ascent is really remarkable because like in 2015, 2016, I remember specifically that's when guitar was really starting to wane on pop radio, like breaking through as a rock band at the time and having so much crossover in the pop world. I think that's something that very few bands could accomplish. And like even today, you know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
was there any sort of doubt in that time of writing your first couple albums on how mainstream this project could go?
Oh, I mean, there was so much just doubt, period, constantly. My experience as being an artist and being a person who makes a living off of my art is that I am both equally like so sure that I am meant to do this and that I am good at this and that what I have to say is important, and equally sure of that as I am so completely just like imposter syndrome like times a million.
Yep.
And like I am constantly like, oh man, is this ever gonna work? Am I ever gonna really like no one, and why doesn't anyone care? No one's ever gonna care. Oh my God, how can I possibly, like, so that's just the world that I've always lived in. I've always envied anyone who envied, and then also slash like am very skeptical of anyone who's like, oh yeah, no, I've always just like been so sure of myself. I've always also loved pop music. I remember hearing Dancing on My Own for the first time. They're simple pop songs that just speak to your fucking soul.
Yeah.
And I had so much respect for that. And I was in awe of songwriting like that. And I wanted to be able to put some of that into what I was doing with my band.
Yeah. So I have actually a little game for you. I have more questions, but we'll play a little game first.
Great.
A game's called Popheads Gone Viral. So nowadays, so many older songs are going viral and even climbing into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. Sam, I'm going to give you some songs that I think could have a second life through 4 randomized methods, and we'll each get to pick a way to repopularize it.
Ooh,
are you ready to make these songs go to the top?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Wow, I love this game.
All right, let's start off with, actually, you know what? Let's start off with Dancing on My Own.
Great.
So the 4 different ways we can make a song viral again. Oh my God, this is going to actually be ridiculous now with this song. 1 is featuring Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
2 is Sync on Kung Fu Panda 4. 3 is a karaoke cover.
Oh,
and
God.
4 is a funk version. So which method would you like to be the way it blows up again?
I mean, I think I'm torn between funk version and Kung Fu Panda.
I think Jack Black could do a really good version
Let's go for it. Now that you brought Jack Black into the equation, it's a game over for me.
I mean, he is Kung Fu Panda, right?
Kung Fu Panda, 1000%. He is. Yes, he is. Yeah, he is.
I would love to see that. Kendrick Lamar, I feel like is maybe we'll save that for another song. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Kelly Clarkson has actually already covered that song.
Really?
I would be surprised if she hasn't. I'd love to see a karaoke funk version.
Ooh, wow.
But because that's not an option, I'm going to go with Kung Fu Panda.
That's next level viral. That's like commercial success.
Okay, so the next song is My Name Is by Eminem.
Oh, man.
Are we doing Kendrick, Kung Fu Panda, karaoke, or funk?
Funk version.
Funk
version.
I agree.
100%.
I think Kendrick's the close runner-up, but I think it just kind of lends itself to a funk version.
Yeah.
Family Affair by Mary J. Blige.
Ooh.
One of the best loops of all time, I gotta say. Well, that's one of those like pristine Dr. Dre loops that you just.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to give that one to Kendrick.
That would be sick. Wait, Kendrick and Mary did the Super Bowl together, right? A couple years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. So I think that him like even like taking that hook, taking the beat and flipping it and doing his own thing on it, like that's crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna leave Kendrick for you, but I'm gonna go with the funk version for that too. I don't know because I want a karaoke of that too.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with funk version.
Okay,
I would love a funk version featuring Kelly Clarkson and Kendrick Lamar, but I'll just go with funk version.
Wow,
that's synced in Kung Fu Panda too.
That's breaking my brain right now. Oh my God.
All right, last one is Everlong by Foo Fighters.
Oh, I mean, a funk version of Everlong would be insane.
Yeah, you want funk version?
Yeah, I kind of do. I also feel like Dave Grohl would really like a funk version of it, and like him listening to it for the first time, a reaction video of that, I think would probably also go viral.
It'd be like the Pharrell Maggie Rogers thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh, this is hard. I'm gonna go with karaoke for
Okay.
this because I feel
Karaoke.
like she can kill anything. Like
She can kill it. Oh my God. She's a vocal warrior,
she is a vocal
a
warrior.
riff warrior.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I feel like I'll go with her for that. All right, perfect. I always love when we play the game and like we've exhausted all four options. Like we've made sure that they've all have a place in the world.
Yes, they do.
All right. So going back to the music, you released a solo album this year. What was the most rewarding aspect of that experience?
I mean, every part about this solo thing has been so fun and so rewarding to me.
Mhm.
The fact that I think people are showing up to my little shows that I've been doing all across the country. I mean, I'm a live performer in my heart of hearts. Like, that's what I really am. And I think that's what I'm built for. And that's what I think I'm best at. So to do these songs, and it's changed the way that I perform. I think I've found a new confidence in myself just on stage with a guitar singing these songs. And I'm excited to bring that into the context of the band now too, as we embark on our long tour next year supporting our new record. And I also love with the solo project, it's fully independent. There's no label. There's no label. I am the label. I'm doing everything. And what it's done for me is like I've had to wrap my head around this industry as a new artist, which is hard to do, you know, as someone who's been in it for as long as I have, and like the baggage that I have, and like, wait, what do you mean? I can just, I don't have to mix and master something to put it out. Like my cousin is 19 and we've been writing a bunch of stuff together. He's a very talented songwriter, singer. He hit me the other day about a song we wrote together, and he's like, I'm trying to upload it right now to DistroKid. Do you have a WAV file? The MP3, they said it's like bad quality. I'm like, wow, you're not gonna mix this. You're not gonna master it. You're just gonna put it out, put the day of demo out. Let's go. Like that kind of mentality is so cool to me. And like the way that people are using TikTok to promote their material, you know, that's exciting to me. That makes me feel like I'm 14 again. Doing this has felt so exciting, and I'm about to drop a bunch of new music for it with barely any preamble. You know, I get to just put stuff out.
I have a question about the ex ambassador features on some of the
Yes.
songs.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between a Sam Nelson featuring ex ambassador song is versus just an ex ambassador song?
I mean, the truth is, it's really nice to be able to tag the band and stuff, because then I get all the people who listen to X Ambassadors to listen to my stuff.
Fair.
So whenever like a band member comes into it and works on it, or, you know, I just feel like the X Ambassadors fans would really like this one, I'll tag the band.
Yeah.
So that's my project too, you know.
Nice. Then is there any new music on the horizon?
Yes. I'm putting a new song out December 15th. A Sam Nelson song, and then we have a whole new X Ambassadors record that's coming out early April of next year, and we're going to start rolling out songs from that starting in January.
Nice. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that record, oh man, let me tell you, like I was writing a lot of the stuff from my solo record around the same time I was writing the stuff for the band. I'm so proud of this record. It's very personal, it's very song driven.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's some of my best writing that I've done, and we tried to make something that really felt cohesive. A lot of our records, we kind of like will, you know, genre hop. And this one, we made a concerted effort to try and keep it very focused sonically.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Self-produced the whole thing. I'm really excited about it. It's an album about identity, growing up in a small town and wanting so badly to get out, and then coming back to it, you know, as an adult, and realizing, you know, that it had such an impact on who you are and that it'll never leave you. You know, we are the places that we come from and the people who we come from. You know, this record's about my town. It's about my friends from that town, my family, friends I've loved and friends I've lost, and people I've loved and people I've lost. Saturn Return, you know, trying to figure out who I am. Classic Saturn Return. And this is that for me.
Awesome. I think that is a really good note to wrap up on, but I made you prepare your top 5 movie soundtracks.
Okay.
This is something we always do on the podcast.
I love this. I love this question. I love this prompt.
All right. So do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I want to start.
Okay.
I want to start. Okay. City of Angels with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. It's got that song Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Oh,
also, I'm looking at it
classic.
right now. It's like Alanis Morissette, Uninvited is on it. A U2 song, If God Will Send His Angels. Peter Gabriel's on it. Further Up the Road by Eric Clapton. Yeah, that's a sick soundtrack.
I love it. They put everything together for that one. Okay.
That soundtrack holds up. Okay. I think I'll bring it to the present, and I really, really love the Black Panther soundtrack. That soundtrack was so good.
The first one or the second one?
The first one, the first Black Panther soundtrack.
Nice.
I think that he made like a whole album, was really inspired by the film in a way that just felt like his own, like it felt like it fit with the movie, but it felt like it could just live on its own, aside from the movie. There aren't too many like Wakanda references or superhero references in it. Number 3, the Godzilla soundtrack.
Godzilla.
The album came out in 1998. There was a cover of David Bowie's Heroes by the Wallflowers by Jacob Dylan, so Bob Dylan's kid.
Oh shit.
That Jamiroquai song, I'm going deeper underground. So good. It's such a good soundtrack. Okay, so that's 3. And then number 2 for me is soundtrack to a movie called Cinema Paradiso. It's Ennio Morricone did the score. My mom used to play that every morning in the house. She'd put like the CD in like our little tape deck, and I'd wake up and I'd hear like downstairs as she was like, making coffee. That's number 2 for me. And then lastly, number 1 for me is the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet soundtrack.
Yes.
That soundtrack, it like changed my life. I love that soundtrack. There's so many hits on that.
Baz Luhrmann is like iconic for just influence of like pop music, and
yes,
I'm thinking Elvis, I'm thinking Great Gatsby.
But like that one, it's got Radiohead talk show host on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got love me, say that you
Cardigans?
love me. Cardigans,
yeah.
Local God by Everclear. I feel just like a local guy when I'm with the boys. We do what we want. Oh, so good. Butthole Surfers. Who else? Oh, that's God. That Desiree song, Kissing You, is one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah. So those are my top 5. What about you?
So I tried to.
I know you're gonna have some really good ones too that I'm gonna be like, oh.
I hope so. No, I tried to not do any like straight up musicals. I think some of these, they have songs that they sing in a bunch of these they have songs that they sing in the movie, but they're not like straight up musicals. So if I was gonna include straight up musicals, I'd say like Rock of Ages, Rent, High School Musical.
Right. Yeah.
But I try to keep it like more soundtracky. My number 5, it's similar to Black Panther, but like not at all. It's the Charlie's Angels 2019, the reboot.
Wow.
So Ariana Grande basically kind of made like a whole little, I think it was like 6 songs. And then she like she wrote a bunch of other songs for other people to come in and sing on them. That album has Kiana Lede, who I'm obsessed with, is Kim Petras.
Oh, I love Kim Petras.
It has, honestly, I think there are some songs that came out the same year as Thank You Next. There are some songs on there where I'm like, this was meant to be on Thank You Next. Like this was, there's like How I Look on You, which is, I'm pretty sure just about Pete Davidson and about being like, do you love me or do you love how I look on you?
Wow. Oh, that gives me chills.
And I think that's maybe one of her best songs of that year. My number 4 is the Pitch Perfect soundtrack, which I guess technically counts as a musical, but
yeah,
there are so many songs where like every time I hear The Sign by I literally go, saw the sign, do up, I saw the sign. Like it's the Pitch Perfect version plays in my head. The guy who sings Blame It on the Boogie by Jackson 5. The guy who sings Blame It on the Boogie by Jackson 5. Insane voice. It was one of the rival a cappella groups. They only have the clip from the movie, so it's like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe it's like 50 seconds. But I've listened to that so many times.
I love little things like that. I love little things like that.
And I like really want like a full version. Like even after all these years, I want them to release a full version because I know they recorded it.
On the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, there's a version of, oh, they didn't even include it, but in the movie, there's a version of When Doves Cry that this boy and this choir sings.
Yeah.
And it's only in the movie. It's not on the soundtrack. And I like had to like hunt it down because I was like,
On
this is
YouTube.
insane.
My number 3 is very recent. It's Barbie.
Oh, I mean, stacked.
I just thought like that is how every album should be. Like that
Yeah.
really, you have everyone from main pod girl Gail to Lizzo, Charlie XCX, Ava
That
Max,
Charlie XCX
50/50,
song is so cool.
Carol G. Like they had all these women from all these different walks of like pop music, right? Like all
Yeah.
these different genres, and they all made a song that was the Barbie song.
Yeah.
Like they
oh my
all
God.
made the Barbie song, and it really felt like it was everything from that year. And like even
I'm
with like
looking at it right now. Yeah.
having Ice Spice on there too, I'm
crazy.
like, wait, when did they make this album? Because I'm like,
God.
she like blew up like maybe a month before the track list
Yeah.
was revealed. So I was just like, huh?
So crazy. Yeah, this whole record is insane.
Nuts. All right, now to throw it back a little bit. My number 2
Okay.
is Yellow Submarine.
Oh, classic. Oh, that's really sweet. That's a wholesome one. I love
That's a
that one.
childhood one for me. Like the
Yeah.
Blue Meanies.
Oh, yeah.
And my number 1 is Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, my God. Wow.
I can't think of a better soundtrack at all.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. You're absolutely right. That soundtrack is crazy iconic and has like you still feel the reverberations of that soundtrack forever.
And name a soundtrack that has more hits than that soundtrack.
I can't.
Like just
like actual
genuine,
hits. Like I can't. Yeah.
Timeless classics. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Awesome. I am so excited for this new album.
I had such a great time talking to you.
Thank you so much to Noah for the theme music. And if you've noticed a quality difference in the kind of mic that I'm using, that's because my good friend Mike the Snare, aka Michael T Snare Drum, and Earthworks Audio has gifted me the Icon USB mic for this podcast. Thank you guys so much. It's not even a sponsor or anything. It was just something they did out of the kindness of their hearts. And I just want to say I really appreciate the audio quality of this thing, and I can't thank you guys enough. Also, please make sure to rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on right now. It'd mean a whole lot to me and the Popheads team who work so hard on getting the show out to y'all. We have some unbelievable guests in the pipeline. I won't spoil anything now, but I'll say that we have some massive Disney Channel icons. We have Popheads favorites that I've been wanting to get on the show for so long. We have people that y'all have been requesting to get on this show for years now, and we finally got them on the podcast. So stay tuned, and I will see you next time.